Welcome to the post-game analysis of Game 1 between SANDBOX Gaming and Team Dynamics. Both are looking for that fifth playoff spot. In the draft, Dynamics seemed to put a lot of leverage onto the bot lane, and also Dynamics did a very good job in terms of the draft. Taking Azir as the first pick against Corki is also a very good dynamic for them. However, in Jace versus Akali, Akali had to withstand her ground. However, she failed to do so, and the game completely tilted towards SANDBOX's favor. And once things stabilized, then Akali could have just continuously gone for a 1v1 situation in the side lanes. However, consistent incidents occurred for Dynamics, and that completely negated the Akali pick. And also, Aphelios was able to develop without much adversities and carry the game. And it was imperative for Dynamics to take over that early game. However, they failed to do so, and they ended up yielding the victory to SANDBOX. And here, the entire dynamics of both teams completely changed. Here, the champions of SANDBOX, they recalled and then returned back to their respective lanes because they were having a difficult time, and Dynamics just should have taken it slowly. However, they realized that SANDBOX had complete control of vision at the bottom side of the rift, therefore they went for the rift. However, SANDBOX retaliated and got rid of Akali first, followed by Trundle. And then also, we have to listen to the voice comms to be sure, but I think there was a lot of disparities in terms of the play call. And because Ashe and Pantheon's laning phase is very potent, once they shoved in the wave and then rotated towards the Rift Herald, then such a unfortunate incident wouldn't have occurred. However, they didn't opt to do so. And once this occurred, SANDBOX was able to propagate the snowball. And then this was the moment where SANDBOX cemented their victory. And here, once again, the landscape of the top was already in heavy favor for Jace. And towards Azir, both Jace and Corki were constantly poking him to mutilate him. Dynamics should have taken the measures much more actively and decisively. However, once Dragon was taken and Corki was at the back, but their decision making was very subpar. Ashe stepped onto Corki's Valkyrie while dealing damage. There are a lot of bizarre moments and disparities in terms of their team fight gameplays. Although there were some losses in terms of damage output, however, Dynamics trying to get through this dire situation by initiating a fight. However, Azir wasn't able to join the fray on time, and it was a moment where Corki excelled much more than Azir. Alright, let's check who's the player of the game for this game 1. I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah, this Summit's Jace. This is his second POG. The other 4 champions were so-called insurance policies for SANDBOX. However, Jace had to gain control of his lane, but he did an immaculate job doing so. And no time was given for Akali to develop due to Jace's stellar place. And while going for 2v2 situations, he didn't allow Dynamics to regain control of the top lane. And basically, Jace just carried this game throughout himself. Although Jace was picked first, it was very impressive that he was able to propagate the snowball because Jace is a champion where it gets countered pretty heavily. I think there are a lot of missed executions in the laning phase, and due to that he capitalized on it and he made the best out of it. Alright, which team will put one more step forward towards that playoff spot?
Thank you, Brian. for the translation once again of the analyst desk. 11 out of 12 voting for Summit there. And I think it's well deserved. I mean, he dumped on his lane really hard, looks great on the Jace, and ended up doing an insane amount of damage, the most in the game by far. Made that top lane look really easy. I think that Rich needs to take a step back and maybe take a step back into his Aatrox as well. I wouldn't mind seeing him hop onto Comfort after a game like that.
Well, we'll see what Dynamics can do here in game number 2. We're just going to jump right into it, I guess.
Yeah, no time to waste.
All right. Match 62, game 2. There is not a whole lot of matches left, Valdez. We are nearing the very end. We're almost done with this week, and that's going to make it so there's only 3 weeks left. 3 weeks of 4 games. And then playoffs are going to start. Beyond is looking tilted out of his mind right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably what it looks like to play Trapdoll in a game like that.
No one forced him to start that Rift Herald when top lane in a losing state and other people are recalled and back. So at this point, Set going to be banned away by SANDBOX. See what Dynamics select for. The Karma pick is so bizarre, or the Karma ban, because you get, if you're thinking that Rich is maybe having issues against Summit and top lane, you can just throw Karma up there and pretty much neutralize any pick that gets thrown at her. Tom being banned is very surprising as well.
Yeah, I don't really get that. Maybe they want to take some power away from Ashe Tom Kench, something like that. It'll be interesting to see what they first pick after a ban like that. Bard getting the respect he deserves. Banned over and over as Volibear was left available because of that, and so they're going to snatch that up right away.
And Aphelios now being hovered by SANDBOX. We'll see if they just elect to lock it in again. It does seem like that is going to be the case. Still the negative win rate here in LCK.
Aphelios Olaf seems... Oh? Thinking about Lee Sin. He's got LS on the mind, but it's not going to happen. We will see Olaf here once again.
Yep. So it's going to be another Ditto matchup. Ashe coming in. And, Tom was the real reason that you couldn't kill the Aphelios, I guess. That's astounding. Astute analysis of the situation in last game. That was the real problem.
Must have been.
SANDBOX now, I mean, they have their pick of the litter for counter picks. Ooh, Alistar. We have not seen him in a while. Thresh is pretty unplayable for Pantheon if the Thresh player has hands, which Gorilla does.
He absolutely does.
So you just time the play, and Pantheon can never get his stun off, and then from there it's just a nightmare for him to try to play. So, I mean, you ban the Catfish and you get the spectral ghost thingy-majiggy.
Yeah, that's usually the way it goes. And they had many other options, too. Jace, I suppose, was scary enough. They're going to deny that. Do we just see Lucian LeBlanc banned again?
Might see that out of SANDBOX to try to just restrict access. But the thing is, do you really even have to ban Lucian? I mean, what AP champion is Rich going to play that is so threatening? Because if SANDBOX let Lucian through and Dynamics actually pick it, everyone just gets Ninja Tab Ice. And everyone just gets a little bit of armor, and all of a sudden, all of Dynamics' comp is ruined. With so much on-hit effects, so many physical damage champions. Just be a pretty big nightmare situation. I think it would be very reckless for Kuzan to want to take the Lucian in this game. Silas is going to be the ban by Dynamics.
That's a very strange one. TF is not available. obviously that's not the only thing that Silence gets played into, but either way, not a very high-tier pick nowadays, as it popped up there for like a week and then kind of fell off really quick once again. Kennen is going to be the choice here going into the top lane. They're going to save the counter pick for mid.
Well, we'll see how SANDBOX elects to utilize it, and if Dynamics is...
Oh no.
Bela. Definitely a bit of... Alright.
Salty run back.
Is this it?
Well, it's going top lane, so...
We haven't got to see a lot of salty runbacks in recent times.
That is true.
It's been a while.
But it's, yeah, I don't... That must be the only thing he's practicing nowadays. I don't really understand. After a game like that where you get absolutely just smacked around. Obviously, it's a different matchup against the Kennen, but at the same time, like, I wouldn't want to play that again. But I suppose that Rich wants to prove it to everybody that he can play the Akali.
Rather have SANDBOX's draft 100 out of 100 times.
Okay.
Pretty much. I think Kennen has such great access. Even though he's red side Kennen's worse than blue side Kennen due to the layout of the map to the respective teams. It's still so effective against 4 of the champions on the side of Dynamics, and it has free access to it. The Zoe is nice for Kuzan, but it's very off-theme. And on the flip side, I mean, the bot lane does not actually have an advantageous matchup. They banned the Tahm Kench only to be met with a Thresh. Everyone except for Ashe and Zoe has to run into the Aphelios, and even if we're talking about Ashe and Zoe, I just don't trust Dynamics to thread the needle on the gameplay needed to really utilize it in a way that harms Aphelios. But even if they could do that, they have Olaf, Orianna, Kennen that have the ability to just turn a gear and run in. Olaf's, oddly enough, kind of effective against the enemy team. It's a very weird day here. Especially for Series 2.
Yeah, I think we're both feeling that SANDBOX are going to get a lead early on in the game, especially just showing what they were able to do in game number 1 and some of the blunders that Dynamics was making. And Olaf from ahead, especially against this comp, I think definitely could have some value here. So I see what you're saying, and we're going to get started here. I'm very curious to see how this Akali is going to do, to be honest. I'm very surprised that he would run it back.
Did you know that at around 1 minute or so, at the very top left of the map, apparently you can see which soul will spawn by watching the dragon that flies in the background? That's
not a real thing.
That's a real thing.
No, it's not.
I learned about that this past weekend.
There is no way.
Nemesis from Fnatic enlightened many people during that.
What?
Yeah. You can go and test today, I think.
Also, I don't know why Orianna took Scorch, but
practice tool.
It's kind of like maybe he's giving himself a handicap. Really?
Yeah. Apparently it is. It's a thing. So you can go into. There was a thread. I think it reached rank 1 on Reddit about a week ago. People would be able to check out. It's a real thing. You can know what soul is apparently spawning in the game. So.
Okay.
Look for the dragon flying around like it's Dragonite.
I'll see it when I believe it. Although we've passed the 1 minute mark, so I guess I don't get to see it. Maybe I'll just have faith. And
so gonna be a Q start for Guger. Doesn't that kind of look like Prestige Edition Pantheon?
He's got like a cool little crown on.
Yeah, he looks white and gold. Ooh, or is he black and blue?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, what? Maybe all Prestige Editions are black and blue.
What if all? Yeah, now there's tens of thousands of people that are like, well, wait a minute, of course they're black and blue. What do you mean?
It makes sense. We've just been on the wrong side the whole time.
Oh man.
And we're getting an in-depth look into this bottom lane. Maybe the Korean casters are talking in-depth about it. We saw 6 games of Ashe Pantheon. It's 4-2 so far. And I guess it just picked up its 2nd loss in the last game. We see that the Volibear is kind of just going to run in, say hello.
He got hit by the axe. He screamed so loud he tried to send down a Thunderbolt. But the weirdest thing about that, by the way, is he had the sweeper lens and just walked right by. Didn't even...
Yeah, I don't understand why he didn't...
Yeah. Now, what he's doing is he's immediately moving over to the left-hand side because he knows that Olaf is pathing over here. And because of the prio that Zoe has in mid lane, he's able to just come over and get the left side Scuttle Crab, and on fleek makes a pretty good read of the situation. And he's going to move down to the right-hand side. But the bot lane is the Joker card here.
Yeah. We're just one-upping each other over and over. And on fleek says, yeah, I mean, you got me. And he'll just have to dejectedly move up to the Krugs.
Yeah.
So that's all he's got left. And, I mean, you can see if you press your tab button how many minions he's killed as well. And maybe you could say, hey, seems like perhaps he didn't kill his Krugs, and so they should know that he's going up to the top side. And will know where the Olaf is.
So, I mean, one of the other things here is that now everyone's playing with map hacks against Olaf. Everyone knows where he is, so we just pay attention to how they try to play around that. They know the Gromp is coming up. They know when his wolves and his raptor camps will respawn. 30 seconds until that Infernal Dragon's going to come up. And aside from that, I mean, Dynamics, they don't really have a whole lot they can do. Hawkshot comes out. Scouting.
And they ping it. They're like, yeah, he's up there. They're a little bit late. I mean, they're like 10 seconds behind the Olaf, but they have a good idea with the respawns coming in that he's going to be over there.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes. The bottom lane here, you can see there's a slight lead for the Ashe, but that's kind of just Ashe things. Also a little bit of poke from the Pantheon. But they'll be fine. You can see that they were able to poke back very effectively. Ashe is now going to complete the recall. Even though this is not a cannon wave.
Yeah, this is
he's gonna miss a lot of CS.
He's gonna miss 6. Now Volibear,
they're all gone.
Yeah, Volibear's gonna run over and he's gonna pick it up. So, it's not like they're all just going into the void. Guger looking to make some sort of a play here onto Fate, but he has Phase Rush and Cleanse, so it's kind of hard to make work. GLP 800, and this is the level 6 wave, so one more minion. And Kuzan should ding it. You can see, yeah, there it is. Summit also has level 6. Rich is suffering a little bit, but he's almost there himself. Definitely down a bit, though, in EXP. Not the end of the world by any means. And everything's going really slow. We're in definitely the 3rd episode of the night for Forbidden Love.
Yeah, we're into the lull W state. It got upgraded.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a bit of this today. A little bit of non-action. I remember game 1 of T1 up against KT. 2 teams that don't really like to fight too much. And early on in this one, I suppose, we're not going to have too much action. Makes sense, I guess, after the beginning of the series. Dynamics don't want to take too many risks, but they are going to rotate over here and try to push Root and Gorilla off the wave, and they will be able to do just that. Olaf up doing the Krugs right now, so not really in position to help out too much. And you see that Beyond is just going to get started on the Infernal Drake here and should easily be able to take it down. So not a bad start for the side of Dynamics.
Yeah, and I mean, Dynamics are definitely playing this a lot better than they did in game number 1. We'll see if they can keep everything up. I mean, Kuzan, he is winning in the CS department yet again here against Fate. And Zoe picks up a redemption.
Oh, nice.
So has that available. Pantheon is almost level 6 now. And Fate, it looks like he's just going to pick up the blue buff, I suppose. with the assistance of Olaf. Summit could actually take that and freeze the wave, but I think he left the cannon into the turret. There's just a lot of ping pong going on right now.
Yeah. I do like Dynamics, you know, being a little bit aggressive and using some of their priority in the mid lane to try to set up a potential dive or, you know, at least push them off the turret, off of some of the CS down on the bottom side. But outside of that, you know, we haven't really seen much action towards the top lane. It's just been a farm fest up here. They're pretty much exactly even.
Yeah.
I guess Summit might be slightly ahead. And yeah, just farming it out. No skirmish has even taken place. Finally, Beyond is thinking about it here. He's level 6, so obviously, if Rich could clear the wave and push, maybe they
Rich is trying to bait it. He's trying to bait Summit to go in. So he needs to take more damage, needs to get stunned. Doesn't look like he is going to do it.
He didn't even take that CS.
Yeah, that was very strange. That was... So, when you're a solo queue player or something, you're in a spot like this and your jungler's waiting like that, and you know that there's no ward, you need to induce the trade. You need to tell a story that is convincing enough that the opponent thinks that you just legitimately messed up and took a bad trade or you misclicked too far forward, etc. And then ends up just engaging on you, and then, well, your jungler's there, so you killed him.
Yeah. But that story was not told tonight.
Don't actually do that.
Not.
You'll do that, and then next thing you know, you're dying, and your jungler went back to his jungle.
Yeah. So. And then you blame the jungler, but actually, if you were looking at the minimap, he had already left 15 seconds prior, so you don't actually get to blame your jungler, but, you know, keep telling yourself.
Oh, you still can.
I mean, you can, but
you can always let.
I wouldn't recommend it. Here comes the engage now, but the Sun is going to come in, and actually an immense amount of respect shown by Summit. He's like, no, I'm out of there. Even though he did have the Ignite himself, still says that I have to flash just to make sure that I do not die here.
And that is a super small victory for Dynamics. Now, they do have the Infernal under their belt as well. Ocean is coming up next, and then the Doomsday scenario for SANDBOX would be if a mountain would be the soul of the game.
Well, why didn't you look in the top left of the map?
Well, because I don't have a mouse and keyboard at this desk.
Imagine if you did. Imagine if we had the technology. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Or yet. Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't exist yet. We're just straight up going into the Olaf here. That is not going to be close enough. Ragnarok comes in, and he's just barely going to survive because of the shield that comes in there. Meanwhile, bottom's pushing, and this looks like an entirely different game. Team Dynamics getting a nice little lead here. Keep in mind, they got the Infernal, and they have the Rift Herald in their pocket, so they're going to look to take it down.
Oh, there was the play by Gorilla.
Is going to go down first as the turret is, well, they're going to trade supports now, as now it's a 1-on-2, but in comes the Orianna. Nice flash from DUCKDOM, but it's not enough, as the follow-up flash from Root is even better. As Fate not quite able to continue on there. He's going to get hit by a bubble as the minions are going to clear away.
Oh, Kuzan might be trying to
flash.
get a little bit frisky. Rift Herald's going to give him the kill.
Well, that didn't really work out.
Fate doesn't know. Oh, Pepe Laugh, he does not know. All right, now he does know now. So that's going to be all the gold going over to Kuzan.
Uh-huh.
And now SANDBOX, they could take this minion wave and try to start
pushing.
So in the replay here, let's take a look at how this all transpires. So the execution, super messy out of Dynamics. DUCKDOM has aggro first, pulls away. Beyond doesn't get the cancel on the turret in time, and then right here, Root, he has Flash and Cleanse available. Take a look at this. Ash Arrow hits him. He cleanses when the CC almost expired, so not the best use of Cleanse. And then Fate's inputs as well. I mean, he almost got Beyond. I think that he should have been able to. And so Beyond barely escapes by the skin of his teeth. Kuzan was there to follow up on things, but SANDBOX, they're down about 1,500 gold right now. Although at this team fight, it's not that unfavorable for SANDBOX if one would unfold. They might not want to make it happen, though. Summit, probably very close to Leandri, is, yeah, I imagine that they're, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Dragon's gone. Mountain?
Mountain.
I did look at the top left.
Yeah. Wow, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
You just didn't want to spoil it, I guess.
Yeah, it was, you know, you gotta maintain the kayfabe, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real thing. Go home and see it.
Yeah. Well done. And the Mountain's going to be interesting here to see which team is going to be able to pick it up. Definitely, I think the Orianna is more inclined to take some defensive items compared to a Zoe. The two junglers, I think, will inevitably get some defensive items. Zhonya's for Kennen, I'm guessing, a bit more likely than the, well, you'd get it earlier, I guess, compared to an Akali.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see, you know, which team begins to stack them up and tries to use their items to play into that potential Mountain Soul.
And at this point in the game, it's just mostly going to be a ping-pong fest back and forth by these two teams. And then waiting for the Dragon to come online. Now, Aphelios does have the 2 kills. And so if Dynamics tries to get a little bit over-eager and maybe donk off into him, things can be really bad. We're going to play ping-pong with the waves now, as it is summer here in Korea.
Yeah. The ice caps are melting.
Yeah.
The players will not freeze. It's not the way it goes. And you could see that Guger was down there maybe looking for a potential gank onto the Orianna, but didn't quite pan out, as now it looks like we're all grouping up. Well, I was going to say towards the Shirley, but actually 4 members now of SANDBOX are going to back, so it's only Orianna moving towards mid. As everybody's just going back and buying some items.
And at this point, SANDBOX, things are still pretty okay for them. Second Rift Herald is about to spawn. We might have a team fight over it, and all the core items are actually completed. So it's not the biggest doomsday scenario. Olaf's a little bit more valuable than I would say Volibear at this point in time. But that's mostly because of the supporting champions around it. Obviously, Pantheon is a little bit stunted still. He doesn't have his first core item. So he's just sitting on the Dirk and the Longsword. So doesn't have that vision control available yet with the... Oh! Well...
Kuzan took a little bit of damage on the backside,
yeah.
But he's got Corrupting Pot.
Okay, and Volibear getting another nice E-off.
So they just moved out of mid lane, and they're all kind of zoned away here, Team Dynamics. There's going to be a large chunk onto this turret, essentially for free. You can see Zoe trying to take pot shots.
Yeah, oh, I don't know what Dynamics...
Oh, they got the hook. They're going in, but that's a stopwatch. The box is going to come down, and they don't want to funnel into that little tunnel there. Oh, that was a nice escape again. They're just taking care of Zoe here.
They are making her a bit invalidated in this fight. They managed to repel them off of the Rift Herald, and so this is quite nice. Now, you can see Gorilla and Rue, they're trying to make it so that Aphelios can raise that turret here. As honestly, I mean, that one turret makes the game look so much closer in terms of gold value. We'll have to see, though. Volibear is going to come in here. I don't know what Beyond's obsession is with the Rift Herald, by the way. This is a 16-minute Rift Herald. You're going to pick up a 100 gold jungle camp, and you're going to ram it into a tier 1 turret, not probably do anything of meaningful value to a tier 2, instead of just killing all of your jungle camps and causing them to respawn and getting more gold. So,
yeah, definitely a little bit confusing. And there you go. Summit comes in with his own smite and says, thank you very much. Ragnarok's here and Rich is alone, as the disengage was really fast as well from the side of SANDBOX. And it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get in here and pick up the Rift Herald, actually. So there's not going to be much pressure with that objective that can be put on right before the Mountain Drake. And, of course, the 100 gold will go into the pockets of Summit. So it's a nice influx of gold right before this fight. He's up in the top lane. Looks like he wanted to get one more wave before he goes back. Maybe going to pick up, I don't know, maybe an Oblivion Orb at this point. We'll have to wait and see what he does go for. No, he's actually going for Proto Belts here. So, wants to get that utility in. And the rest of SANDBOX just going to come over and, well, not going to be smited. It actually goes down to the auto attack of Root.
But these are very big turnarounds for SANDBOX. Nonetheless, they steal away the Rift Herald. They prevent that from happening. They get themselves the Mountain, and the Mountain can't be understated. Against this Dynamics comp,
hello.
It really looked like Pantheon was trying to crack that wall there at the top of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, joke's on him. It's already cracked.
I swear, one day that's going to open up and it's going to go somewhere. It's going to be like a mini game.
Imagine.
That would be good. That'd be very nice.
You ever wonder if there's like an Easter egg that nobody has figured out yet?
Oh, man. Yes, I've
You know what I mean?
That. I really have, yeah.
Which, it's like once somebody finally figures it out, it sparks a series of events to maybe unleash a champion, like a new champion or something that they've kept. It's like all done, and they've kept it totally under wraps.
That's actually a really good idea, by the way.
And they're just waiting.
This would be a good idea. There's like an Easter egg
Ryan.
somewhere on the map.
There you go. I mean,
that they're just waiting for it to garner public attention.
Yeah. Maybe you need like a really specific, like you need the perfect team comp to do like the perfect thing in like the corner of the map. You know, something that would just so rarely ever even come close to happening. I want it to happen. I want that to be a thing.
All right. I do too, now that you mention it.
Maybe someday. Maybe now that the idea is out there. Oh.
Yeah. They could freak no? No.
You know what does AoE damage is the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of that, we're going to try to clear the wave as fast as humanly possible.
Okay, so not a whole lot is happening. We're finally sieging, but it's only 19.5 minutes into the game. And not a lot is really going on. So at this point, SANDBOX, they're getting to freely scale up on most of their champions. Looks like it's going to be a Proto Belt second on Kennen, which I think is surprising. Because at this stage of the game, fights are going to basically be able to be guaranteed. In the sense that both team comps are just going to either run at each other. So no matter what, Kennen's going to get value in either way. On Fleek, I'm not really sure what he's doing. He's running out of Zoe, but not achieving a whole lot. We've been seeing some different itemization coming out as well from some of the junglers. We saw the Adaptive Helm in one of the games. We're not just always seeing the turn the lights out Warmog rush. That is very common. Beyond and Kuzan may be looking for something here. Beach Ball comes out. Okay.
Oh, nice cleanse from Roots, but now it is down as the box will come down. There's a lot of poke already that's coming out here. This is a lot of why we see Orianna into the Zoe nowadays. You can just throw your combo out the second she comes in, and if you're fast enough, which all the pro gamers are, you can get it while she's jumping in. To say, yeah, I mean, you might land your poke, maybe you won't, but mine definitely will because I know exactly where you're going to jump.
Well,
the cannon.
Yeah, the cannons.
No.
All right, Velvet. 1.5 minutes until that.
Oh, he missed that one too.
Can you stop blaming him?
I'm not.
They should actually just give Aphelios the golems at this point. The Olaf is turbo useless beyond once he gets his next core item, and then from there it's not really of any importance, but Root's going to come up, push in that wave. He almost has a second core item. It's very important that he managed to get to it before this next fight. Likewise, Orianna, so close to Banshee's Veil, I believe. We'll see if Fate can actually get it. He only has 50 seconds, so basically only like 20, and then he can recall. But with them splitting up the gold in mid, instead of just Orianna getting it all, I assume that he's far away. So this fight in particular, it doesn't look like Kuzan either is going to be able to recall into Banshees. The items are going to be on relatively even footing, but I would say that Kennen has a little bit more value because Akali's inventory is also very stunted.
Well, we got the damage numbers up here. We'll see if anything actually happens. Trying to set up a gigantic concave here is SANDBOX, but trying to move it now is Team Dynamics. That's a nice bubble.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess that works as... Yeah, I'm just going to come over the wall there as now they're going to start it up, actually, SANDBOX will. I think that can't be risky. Smite is used by Beyond.
Yeah, that was
going to have another one soon, but not on time.
Yeah, you can tell that On Fleek is thinking like, well, he doesn't have it.
Oh! Going to go in. That's a massive engage from Summit, but there is zero follow-up from the rest of his team. Where was everybody else? They're just waiting in the back, and now they might just be scooped up and put into the garbage here as everybody's going to go down. Even Root is going to get double killed by Zoe, who picks it up there. Kuzan will be able to do that as now they're going for this Mountain Drake, and they get one for themselves. A big team fight win for Team Dynamics.
Yeah, and this was really surprising given that SANDBOX were the ones that initially had control over everything. So On Fleek starts it up thinking, okay, well, they just don't have Smite. Take a look at Summit. Now remember, he doesn't have Zhonya's because he rushed Protobelt. And so, in this fight, no one was able to follow up with him. It was too difficult for them to get into the fray there. And so that Summit seeing an angle for himself without accounting for his teammates being able to follow up or not. And so, it feels like in one fell swoop, just like that, we're going to a game number 3. And definitely surprising. Valdez?
Yeah. That absolutely could have been fought better, and it's pretty unfortunate because SANDBOX were putting up a decent fight from a relatively weak early game laning phase. But we'll have to wait and see as Team Dynamics here. You can see Root he's got a couple of items. Maybe he can do something in this one, but yeah, just going to group up here with the Baron, look to take down some of the easy objectives first. Looks like they want to head towards the mid lane.
Well, lost a shopkeeper, coming in hot here on the Akali. And so, Dynamics now with the Baron, they're going to look to raise a couple of turrets. They're at a 5,000 gold lead, Infernal and matching the Mountain. They also have Soul Point going for them. Kuzan just in a very good position this game to carry everything away. Now, if SANDBOX can win the next team fight somehow and get another Dragon under their belt, they can actually probably stabilize and we still have a game on our hands, but it's really looking like this game is very doomed for them at this point in time. Aphelios does not really have the items that he would want to really just go God mode.
He definitely still needs a bit more. It's interesting to see what he picks up, maybe QSS. Or I suppose if not, perhaps the Death Stance is... Yeah, just a slow and steady push coming on in here from the side of Team Dynamics. They're only one Drake off of the Mountain Soul at the same time, so you can see that they don't want to push it too far. They just want to take some of these outer and inner turrets and go from there as Rich. Looks like he'll be okay. Summit not going to pull the trigger just yet.
Well, it seems like Dynamics are going to be content with continuing to take it slow and steady. Maybe just wait for the guaranteed soul and then try to close it out that way. They're rotating top lane. They have one last Baron push still inside of them, but it doesn't look like they're very keen on committing to capturing this top tier 2 turret. So all things are pretty fine still. And Summit trying to do whatever he can. Here comes Pantheon. Good night, Cannon.
Seems to be the case, but now he does have a stopwatch at least. That's a lot of damage going out there as Beyond is going to come over. And because of that stopwatch, I feel like he will have a much better survivability rate.
So the question here ends up becoming, is Kennen living there in exchange for not giving over the 450 gold to the opponents more valuable than him having the stopwatch at the Mountain Soul fight? And I think the answer is no. Because if you look at Akali's inventory and you've been paying attention to the game, she just completed Morellonomicon a couple of minutes ago. So even if she has that 450 gold, all that it does is give her an extra 15 AP and 10% CDR at the next team fight if she gets the kill. If Pantheon gets the kill, it doesn't really change his inventory at all. So the gold ends up being pretty irrelevant, but maybe that's difficult for him to think inside of the moment. But now he's going to be down stopwatch for the game-ending fight.
Yeah, I mean, unless he
has enough in the inventory for Zhonya's. But
that's really the only question here, right? Let's see. And it looks like the answer's no. So he's not going to have it for this next fight. And now, I mean, we're in a case now where Team Dynamics are even farther ahead compared to the last one. So they're going to be looking to take this. Okay. We're just flashing after Zoe's. Generally not a good idea. Kuzan doesn't even have to flash himself. Able to pick up the flash now from the Olaf, so that was just straight up giving an advantage to the side of Team Dynamics. Summit spotted here. He's going to be locked down as well. Everything's going to be blown to try to take him down as well. Fresh is going to be able to cleanse out of that one. In goes Akali, and a massive Battle Star into the back line is just way too much for them to handle, as Summit is going to get a huge ultimate, but he doesn't have the damage. And everybody's just going to get wiped up here, as that Mountain Drake will go the way of Team Dynamics after all of that. The Zoe, too much for them to handle. 4-0-3.
The Mountain Soul is definitely going to be all that she wrote for this game. Gold lead extends to about 6,500, 12% amplified resistances. And you take a look at everyone on the side of Dynamics, and they all have some kind of resistance going on, even in items. So getting a little bit more value out of that. But take a look at how this transpires. For some reason, Summit is he's talking to the dragon, is what he's doing. Gets collapsed on. Olaf just full tank running at Pantheon, who just presses his E. Yeah. Phenomenal damage being dealt by Kuzan. And then right here, Root really couldn't find any angle to go in on. And there's just not a whole lot they can do. SANDBOX, they're completely lost in the team fight.
Yeah, it was pretty sloppy positioning because of Beyond seeing Summit and being like, yeah, I'm just going on to you. And everybody on the side of SANDBOX was like, well, what do we do now? We can't exactly just follow them in there. And they tried, and then two of them got slapped in the face by a Battle Star. So
yeah.
That was kind of the end of it from there. And now just trying to get on top of Duckdom, but he's got his ult, he's got Flash available too, so not really going to be able to lock him down. You can see that SANDBOX, they're still fighting, but it just got exponentially more difficult to take any of these fights from here.
And, well, Dynamics, they're starting up the Baron. And it should be a pretty easy capture for them. If SANDBOX try to contest it, they're just able to turn on them with very, very little problem.
Yeah, Summit does have Smite, so maybe if he wanted to try to steal it, but look at their front line, it's just disappearing, and now Root is gonna have to flash away from the ultimate that does come in. Trying to get on top of him now is Guger as well. At least he's got a stopwatch, but they're kind of funneling straight in. That's a big shockwave, as now Summit's gonna go in, but the fight was already over, my friend. And so he's going to go down, and the rest of SANDBOX have to go home with the tail between their legs. That damage just not sticking against this team, who is ahead with the Mountain Soul and lots of levels. And gold, of course, above SANDBOX now.
Yeah, and we're just waiting. The Baron's going to be picked up. They should be able to end with it. And Kuzan, I mean, he's sitting there with his Flash available. Not a whole lot really left in this one, I think, for SANDBOX. We just see what's happening. The Mountain Souls are so hard to chew through. Olaf is not a champion. I mean, he's a caster minion at this point, pretty much. Root flashing away. Rich threatening to kill him. For some unholy reason, Dynamics stops the Baron, and they come over and they're looking for kills. I suppose the reasoning that they might have is if they get a couple, the mid-minion wave is in such close proximity they can look to end there immediately. But now with the Baron, we'll see what they do with it. Akali has Zanya's now as well.
Yeah, and they're saving exhaust every single time that Summit tries to get in there too, so we see that a lot here in pro play. Just making sure that that cannon has a lot less chance to do big damage even as he gets more and more fed. So there's a lot of these tools that are being taken away from SANDBOX. Kuzan still with no dents on his Zoe and is being a huge menace for that team as, okay, the Moonlight Vigil comes out. Root trying to get something going, but the slow and steady push coming out of the Baron. Minute and a half left available, and they're just going to look to push 2 lanes at the same time.
And SANDBOX.
Okay, Rich. They're really just diving in onto Root here, and I think they will be able to. He survived for so long, but it just doesn't matter, as Beyond is eventually going to go down, but we still got Kuzan, we still got Dukdam able to shore this one up, and they're not going to go for the end, actually. They're going to look to push bottom lane. I guess they're really scared about the Orianna still, who is available and pretty good at clearing some of the waves, but not necessarily against the Baron buff. They're going to take the safe play out. That is definitely the Team Dynamics way. And will they even get this? They're being very slow and steady about how they're getting in, as the Lantern will be taken to avoid the bubble. And finally, the inhibitor will go down.
We'll take a look at it one more time. I'm really perplexed as to what's going on. Pantheon ult goes in. His E helps him live for so long. Summit getting a defensive multi-man slicing Maelstrom off. And then right here, I mean, they have Baron enhanced minions. It's a Thresh and an Olaf that's full tank. And their Mountain Soul would come back on, giving them so much EHP. They take the super defensive route, like what you're, or not defensive, but the epitome of careful.
Yeah. I mean, the Orianna was available as well, but with the Baron enhanced minions, I don't think it was going to matter too much. So definitely looking to drag this one into the Elder. See what they can do from there. As, yeah, Dukdam's just going to get to work on that one. We'll see if they notice that he's gone. Yeah, you can see they're pushing on in, but Kuzan with blue buff is like, it's like walking into a machine gun, into a cannon as well. Here comes Olaf trying to get in, and he actually steals it. Oh man, he's getting in there. He's extending this game. It is absolutely not over from here with the Elder. They're going to be able to hold on for a little bit.
So with the Elder, they're going to wave clear, but it's really delaying. Oh, that is a, yeah, that's a sad moment.
Yeah.
The Elder, it would have been nice if they somehow could have taken a team fight, but even if they take a team fight, they had no minions in close proximity. They wouldn't be able to end the game. So all that it does is ultimately delay the inevitable, I feel like. I really can't see how Dynamics would really throw this away. Baron's up in 1 minute and 30. Let's take a look at this one more time.
He just runs in.
He just runs right in.
Do or die.
Yeah. Manages to get the steal, and so had Dynamics just got it right there, that definitely would have been the end of the game via the follow-up. But now SANDBOX with the Elder, they're able to stave off some of the threat by Dynamics, at least while that buff does persist. It will persist into Baron for a very short while, about 15, 16 seconds worth of Elder.
Yeah.
As the Baron comes up. Summit, he's trying to clear out all the side waves, as the inhibitors, unfortunately, for a SANDBOX, they do not respawn for about 1.5 minutes. So definitely some problems still present.
Yeah, they were trying to push out the waves, but you can see that Akali with TP is able to go down bottom side, and I think that Team Dynamics will just be able to put a chokehold onto the map here and make it really difficult for SANDBOX to charge into the Baron, but they're going to go before Baron. They're like, we have Elder, we have to try to force a fight, but a great disengage comes in from Team Dynamics. And, I mean, there's no real hard engage. There's no Ornn to be able to try to pick someone off from a very large distance. And so now, Elder buff is down. And, I mean, again, we shouldn't even be in this spot. I think that Team Dynamics should have been able to just end the game earlier. But they're just so careful as, I guess they're just waiting for moments like that. But yeah. Root is pretty scary. You can see that he is really good at clearing waves, at least.
And on fleek now, even. I mean, he's looking to get a Warmogs. And Warmogs, it's really interesting. So, Warmogs is when you're out of combat for enough time, you start to regen your HP. Which is interesting because Olaf, I mean, he runs in, he throws an axe, and then he runs out. So, the HP is almost wholly irrelevant.
On fleek, trying to get something started here. Team Dynamics are going to pull off of the Baron once again, and that is just way too much damage. That should be okay. Gonna get the stun down as finally that Orianna will be punished. Summit is gonna look for it, and into the backline once again goes Rich, as does Beyond, and Root, he can't do it alone, even though he does do some pretty insane damage there towards the end. Gorilla with this QSS. Going to try to stop that one. And they will push in for what looks to be the victory. Root, though, looking to hang on. For a second, I thought they backed. For a second, I'm like, did they actually just back here? Root is really scary, actually. They got to be careful about this. Somehow, I mean, he's just, with his Infernum, he's able to clear the wave. And they're just not going to push in. They're like, no, actually, we need the Baron. You seem pretty surprised that didn't end the game there.
Completely just flabbergasted right now at... maybe give him an extra item slot. Let him get up to 7 items. See if they can pull the trigger then on some of these things. This is... I don't know what to... I feel like I need to channel my inner freak right now.
Yeah,
to really.
You think so?
Talk about the level of play that is present in this game.
I just this has been their problem, right? The entire split. It's plagued them since they started winning, even in the beginning of summer. Like their wins were good and they were wins, but it definitely looked like at times you were like, okay, I mean, you guys won. You know, and we kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt as a new LCK team, but we're here and it's their 13th match, so still struggling to end.
This is by far, in a way, the worst level of play that I've seen out of a team that is this far ahead in the LCK since I've been back to casting.
It's been a while, too. It's been a good 2 years at least. Root, he's really trying. And, well, he's taken a big chunk out of Duck Dom. You can see that Gorilla is eating so much of the CC. He's just standing there. He's being a real trooper. And, yeah, I mean, he's definitely helping, I suppose, the cause of Team Dynamics in terms of trying to keep this game alive. We're nearing 42 minutes now. They still can't seem to end it. They're just so terrified of the Aphelios. They just don't want anything to do with him.
So they're finally. I mean, the minions are actually achieving more. So
yeah, they actually are. All right,
here we go.
Here we go.
All right.
Cleanse nothing. He tried to Captain Jack it, but
minions have had.
Oh, Kuzan.
The
All
minions.
Right. The minions are angry now.
Yeah, the minions. Let them do it. Let the minions in.
Summit says, I'm angry too. And Rich is going to take an immense amount of damage. They're tanking up in the front line, but that's going to be 2 going down. The double kill comes in. Are All right, here we go. They did it. They took a team fight. It took 43 minutes, but they won the game. Team Dynamics will take the victory, and they will force a game number 3. As I feel like I just watched the director's cut of Titanic or something.
I think I just watched the bloopers.
Yeah, the bloopers.
This was like watching the bloopers. You know how there's every region has like the highlights.
Yeah.
The bloopers of
I wish
the entire game.
Yeah.
You tune into the VOD and you're like, why is it 42 minutes long?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
They go to the booth, they're like, actually, you know what? Nah. There's nothing to talk about. Oh, Team Dynamics.
Oh man. Well, that was I don't know if they have it in them for game 3.
Do they have the energy to stick through another one? I mean, that was crazy.
Well, on the flip side, I mean, that does give credence to SANDBOX's resilience in a way. So historically in like StarCraft, right, players used to intentionally not give up to just make the other player get more fatigued.
Yeah.
In your mind, you've sort of given up, but you're doing like the bare minimum to still like resist and be annoying. And the other opponent can maybe get tilted. Dynamics should be tilted unless they're not aware, which is even worse.
Like, let's go for dinner, guys. Like, we don't need to watch the replay.
I'm not. They didn't even go to the booth, so
yeah.
I don't know what to really say about that. Kuzan,
well,
I did give the MVP. I felt like he was the only reason that a lot of things happened in this game.
It's not even like good thing or bad thing. It's just like he created action by existing and throwing out abilities with Zoe. Otherwise, I mean, would they have ever engaged if they didn't get... There were multiple times where he got huge chunks onto the enemy backline, and if that didn't happen, I just wonder, like, would we still be casting the game? Like, going a third Elder Drake or something?
Yeah.
Because Aphelios with 6 items, he's pretty scary, and he clears out the waves really fast if you don't commit. And that's exactly what Team Dynamics were doing. They were not committing, so...
I can tell.
They're still preparing the highlights there. But guys, we're going to take one more break before we do come back for the final game of the night. Stay tuned.
밀었어.
자, 이거
캐는 근데 이거 뭐.
야, 이거 보자 이제 보자.
네, 높은.
나 한번 빠질게.
네. 잡았어.
야, 펠리어스 절단 받아 천천히.
천천히.
야, 와봐. 나 뒤에 뛰어. 뒤로 와, 얘들아.
우리 하나 잡았어.
야, 왜 이렇게 빡세냐? 다행이다. 나이스.
아이고, 내가 장로